welcome to GenFriends. I'm your host, Cheri Hudson Passey from Carolina Girl Genealogy, and we have a fabulous panel and a fabulous guest. I am so excited for this show. Let me introduce the panel. We've got Laura Hedgecock from Treasure Chest of Memories. Hi, Laura.
Hi, everybody.
I'm so glad you're here with all your Christmassy decorations behind you.
Thank you.
We've got Melissa Barker with her archive behind her, our archive lady. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, everybody. Glad to be here.
Shelley Murphy doesn't have her Blue Ridge Mountains behind her today.
I
Our family
don't.
tree girl.
I'll try to switch it.
Yeah, we're glad that you're here.
Hi,
Mary.
everybody.
Mary Kircher Roddy is here from MKR Genealogy. And that is your quilt map, right?
Yes, this is County Tyrone.
Yeah, it's
Part of a little teeny tiny piece of County Tyrone.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. You're so talented with those quilts. Last but not least, on the bottom on my screen anyway, we've got Mr. Dan Earl, our comedic genealogist. That's what we should call you.
Hello, happy to be here. No mention of my beautiful background.
Your beautiful shelves.
The books that will ultimately be my demise as the bookshelves collapse. And
Exactly. Speaking of books, a good segue, Dan.
Very good.
Yeah.
And you guys see who our special guest is. I'm so excited. We have our favorite writer himself. Look at the books Dan's pointing to him. We have got Mr. Nathan Dylan Goodwin in the house, and we've all got our copies of his new
Mine's on my iPad.
It's on her iPad, right? So
That's okay. We got you covered, Mary.
we got yeah. Oh my gosh. Let me tell you something, Nathan. You are such a good writer. But knowing you like we do, I read these books and go, Nathan, where are you coming? So, I honestly do, because it's a little scary when I.
Yeah, they're getting darker and darker and darker.
They are getting darker and darker, and you guys, he's the nicest guy in the world.
There's an alter ego.
There's an alter ego.
Yeah.
Before we get started talking about the book, tell everybody where you are.
Geographically or literally?
Either one, geographically, and then where you are, someplace new.
So I'm in Kent, in southeast of England, and yeah, I'm in my new office that I've built myself. In the grounds of we bought this terribly run down, awful house last year at auction, and it's freezing cold and it literally is falling down. And so I needed somewhere to work because I was in the dining room, which was also the laundry room and the dog's bedroom and the spare room, all rolled into one. So yeah, I decided to build myself a little office in the garden, and yeah, did it all apart from 3 jobs. I did it all myself. So this is my first day in here.
We're so excited. We get to see
Right.
the
So
first.
you left your husband, child, and dog in the cold falling down house and built yourself a safe, warm place to work.
They're all over there, and I'm nice and warm.
So funny. That's so
Loving
funny. Well,
family man.
congratulations for getting that done, and it looks fabulous. The pictures that you've been sharing, it looks fabulous.
Yeah, I'm pleased with it. And like I said, I had to do lots of Googling and lots of YouTubing and lots of I've never done one before. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with it. As long as it's still standing by the end of the interview, then it's fine.
Oh, good, because we don't want that stoop. We don't want
Did you not
that.
have a similar one in your old place?
I did, yeah, but my brother built it, and I was kind of there as his right-hand man, but I really was just sort of holding things, and passing. I didn't pay attention, and so I was texting him and saying, how did you do that? How did you do this? And how? Yeah, so I'm quite pleased with it. Did it all myself.
Now, just
good, very good.
Also, could you explain to us about your sweatshirt there?
Yeah, sorry. I did say, should I change? It was it was my son's school Christmas fete today. So I go along and do, run a stall and help set it all up. And so I have my Christmas jumper on.
I love it.
I thought, you could share in the festive joy.
Exactly. We are pleased. We are happy that you realized for us you would not have to change. So we're glad.
Yes.
We're all family here, right? We're all family here. All righty. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. This book, this book
Mhm.
is fabulous.
Yes.
This is the second one in your new series, and it's a Venator cold case, and it's an investigative. Can you guys see it? Genealogy
No.
mystery
No, we
series.
can't see it with the blue screen.
There we go. There we
There
go.
it is.
So this is book number 2. What I like about this, not only there we go. Not only is it
I won't have my fingers over his name.
oh, there you go.
iPad.
Cover the title up so no one can know what it is.
Just in case nobody has, you know.
So I'll just sit like this the rest of the interview. It's fine.
So it's set the murders. There's always in these new books series you're writing, there's a murder, and then they end up going, you know, to the group in Salt Lake. They have to call them in to come and solve the mystery. But what I also like is the fact that you've got these side stories. So you've got things going on with everybody that works for the company. You've got a missing husband. You've got all sorts of things. So there's a lot going on. And this second book, I think, really builds the characters too, adds more to the characters that work for the company, and we're learning a little bit more about them. And so I love that it's just not this mystery series, and I mean this murder series, and then nothing else is going on, because it's fun because you're starting to learn about the other people and you're invested in their stories. So but again, these murders are quite something. So Shelley, would you like to tell us what your mom said about the murders?
I'll preference it first. She was skeptical at first because of the intensity of what was at the beginning of the book about the murders. So she kind of glances through some of that. Just like in other books, she skips all the sex stuff. So this book, and then she came back and she says, I like how he does this, you know, and she said, don't we have other books by him? And I said, yeah, I've got the other series.
The whole collection.
And stuff. So I've got to put those in her room. So she has her evenings with Nathan, the writer. And she said, he's got a dog, he's got a son, he's got a husband. But she said, I like the way he writes. And I did take a picture of her holding your book. So, and actually,
Can you see it?
Right.
Can you share it?
Yeah, share it.
Her mom is 92.
She is 92
Yes.
years old. And she actually knows where you are because we have ancestors from Kent. There she is holding
Oh,
me.
look at that.
Hi. Oh, that's lovely.
92.
Wow.
And so
I'm glad she liked it.
every night before she goes to bed.
Oh. Say hello from me.
So
I'll see if I can post that on Amazon.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Great. And
yeah,
send it
as
to
a
me.
review.
And send it to me too, and I'll put it in the
Okay.
post. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll put it in the post.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very sweet. I'm glad she liked it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know everybody's got questions, and I don't want to be the only one because I can just, you know, so I'll what questions do y'all have for Nathan?
Well, I'll go first because I was wondering, when you wrote the book, did you already know when you first started that you were going to include it during the pandemic, or did you go back and forth whether or not to include, you know, put it during the pandemic? How did that come about?
It was a bit of a tricky one because, I mean, obviously when the pandemic first started, lots of people were doing that First World War thing of it'll all be over by Christmas, you know, it'll be done in a few months, you know. And so I was thinking, you know, do I then wait this out and see, you know, if it would end quickly or how it would? And I thought I need to not second guess it, and I felt like it needed to be a small part of history and being a kind of as accurate as I could be to portray what life was like. And I know some people kind of thought, you know, they don't really want to be reading about the pandemic, having just lived through it. But to me, it felt like writing a book like in the 1940s and not really mentioning the war. You know, it's a bit like you have to mention it, and I don't want to dwell on it too much. But the realities of the situation I needed to put in there. But yeah, I did back and forth, and I thought I couldn't obviously foresee how long it would go on for, and I thought I don't want to wait indefinitely or set it and then not mention it, like I said. So I kind of thought, no, I'll do it, even though it's obviously only book 2. So in book 1 they're in the office and life is normal, and then suddenly in book 2 it's all home working and
yeah, because that's what happened to all of us. We're all in our offices working normally, and then boom.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
I like the fact, I like the fact that you included it, because being an archivist, you know, one of the things that we do is not only do we preserve and take care of what's in the past, we actually collect today for 100 years from now. And so I know a lot of archives are collecting information and artifacts and all kinds of different things, stories during the pandemic, so that in 100 years, you know, our descendants will know what it was like. And so I like that you included it, and I like writers that include things that are going on today, so that it does place it in that history timeline.
Yeah, I mean, in an ideal world, it would have been kind of, if we had to have the pandemic at all, I mean, it would have been later in the series, so that people would get the feel of their normal life, rather than book 2 suddenly it's completely different scenario to book 1, you know. But that's just the way it went, and so hopefully that's the end of the pandemic, and book 3 they'll be back in the office and it'll be a little more normal. That's the plan.
I think throwing in the pandemic too helped you to be able to enlarge some of our understanding of the characters and lives, because they had to be in their
own environments. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, the whole treadmill thing. Let's get a treadmill. We gotta exercise. We gotta take care of the mom that's, you know, with dementia, all those types of things. So there's a lot of realistic things that a lot of us have had to deal with since then. And I really do think that it helped to kind of build those characters and help us understand them a little bit more, so that as we go through the series, we're understanding where you're going with the different characters. So and starting to really
I think so. Yeah, because in book 1 we only went to Maddie's house, the team leader, and I think maybe Kenyatta, but I don't think we went back to all of their houses, and so it's quite good to see them in their own environments repeatedly, so you get to see their home lives.
Well, you know what I really like too is I like that they had the Zoom calls, but I like that's real, because look what we're doing. I like the way that you have them setting up as teams, and you did this in the first book too, but how you have them set up in teams and they each have their different surnames to research, and I just really have liked that as a methodology. When you're doing your own DNA research, is to maybe lump them into surnames instead of trying to get everything done at once. Work on one until you can only go so far, then work on another one and see if that will help you narrow it down in your own research. So I like that methodology, and that might be methodology that is just out there that I hadn't even thought about doing, and everybody's looking at me going, oh, that's just what we do. But for me it clicked, and you know, it helped me to think of a way to help me as I'm going farther and farther back. And there's so many surnames to look at. So I really I really like how you're also, not only are you entertaining us with the story and scaring us with the story, and then but you're teaching basic DNA principles that anybody can understand and gain from, to the point where you and Diane Southard are teaming together to teach DNA. I think that's fabulous. That's got to feel good that your book can be used by genetic genealogy.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful.
So I have a question, a little bit. So when you started, not for you, Cheri, for Nathan.
No, I know.
When you started the first book, how many book outs did you have your planning?
Ooh.
Did you know that there would be a 2, or did you know there would be 3, or did you have possible ways that your books were going to go? How did all that work?
I still don't really have a definitive idea. I felt like it could potentially keep running, because it's such a new it's a new thing, really. We're still very much in the early days of this technique. And so I kind of hoped, that it would be able to run. And I've got ideas for several more books yet. So I'm hoping it will just keep going. So yeah, I don't have a definitive number where I'll call it. So
did you
going.
And did you always have the idea that the team's second case would be, I don't know how to put it, a lot, an ongoing case, a hot case instead of a cold case, that they were working against time to save lives? Because to me, that really changed.
Yeah.
It's not the only thing that made it dark, but it really changed the characterization because nothing was theoretical.
Yeah.
It wasn't to bring closure. It was to catch a killer. And it upped the stakes, which I really enjoyed. But I was just curious, did you know that when you did the first book that the second book would be higher stakes, or did that just come to you later? Or
I think once Chester Creek Murders had come out, I was thinking, and I started to do the planning for this one. I started to think, what can be different? What I didn't want is it's the same thing every time. They're in their office and they've got a case from 40 years ago, and it's 3 murdered women, and and like it's just very samey. I thought I need to be able to change it up in each book and have bring something different to it. And so, I thought and I know that there is precedent for this as well. It's I was watching the CC Moore program, was it DNA Detectives or something? And they had a live case there. So there was, I think it was in Salt Lake City actually, and they were looking for somebody active. They basically went straight to that. They didn't have too many traditional leads, the police, so they turned straight to IGG and they caught the person. So there's precedent there for doing that. And I've heard CC Moore say, she thinks that it will eventually be used much more on live cases. Why wait until someone's killed 6 people if you can catch them after 2? Obviously it's down to the circumstances and whether there's DNA in it, etc. And just having DNA doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to be able to work out who it is. But so I thought I wanted to change things slightly, and I thought that would be a good way, perhaps as a counterbalance, because I wasn't sure how the homeworking thing would be. Because I thought, again, I don't want that to be too, here they go again, another Zoom meeting, and this inability to have the interactions between them. I thought I needed something, in case that got a bit repetitive and a bit slow, I would have that to offset it. This kind of, this person's out there right now.
Yeah.
So it was a conscious thing, before I started.
The murderer. I mean, like I said, you're the nicest guy in the world. Where does this come from? And should we be afraid to hang out with you?
Well, I don't know if we're going to sit and have a cup of tea with him with things.
Roostack, yeah. We may be a little scared of you now.
I think.
What'd you say, Dan?
But just not in a cabin, like just be in public.
Okay, just be in public.
As long as we meet somewhere in public, you'll be fine. You'll be completely safe.
Okay.
Somewhere like in a police station or something, you'll be great. I just did a lot of research, and again, I wanted to come up with a character that was kind of believable, and to try and give some explanation as to why they were doing that. And there's someone I know, I don't know them as a friend or as a very well, but they had this this voice issue where the voice goes up suddenly in the middle of a sentence, and it's really, really high pitched, and people did mock him, and I thought that kind of tied in with some research I was doing about these incels that are going on, and this kind of idea that they kind of feel that the world owes them a favour and that they've been hard done by, and I did a lot of research, and I thought I need to get quite a lot of background information in there to kind of make that realistic. And so it just got a bit darker and darker.
But it made for a good story.
You have these people out there. You have these people out there. So
exactly. I mean, it's not like you created something that couldn't have happened, because it has happened.
So, to me, the scariest part wasn't the violence. It was the community of these guys talking to each other.
Yeah.
That was what was really scary.
Yeah.
And that's all real. That's all realistic.
I know, that's
you know,
what was scary. It's the reality of it that's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just think it's very alarming that there's people out there like that.
Yeah. It's extremely scary that there are people out there like that. Thanks for bringing that to our attention, because
Yeah, otherwise we would have been sleeping well at night.
You're welcome.
Exactly. We would have been sleeping well at night.
So now
All
he's
right.
just returned the favor so that we worry about him instead.
So, and
got
I
a
read
question.
in your book you talked about researching, and so what do you research? Where do you research for those kinds of storylines?
Without getting in trouble.
So,
I
for
can
the
assume, I can assume that you might go down this rabbit hole. The police are at your door. That's what
You do have to be careful. Yeah, I mean, so for the incel stuff, it was things like there were articles in the New Yorker and things like that I found online. You know, they were kind of reputable sites to visit. Yeah, and I've just got books on the various serial killers that you have over there, and you know, and really looking at their motivations rather than they're just you know, going out killing people for no reason. Kind of trying to understand why, to give him a bit of just make him realistic, really.
Right.
Are any of these things family related?
No.
I mean, you're going back into, you know, you do genealogy, you know. So any of the examples, are they linked to something that you've read, you know, not from your own family, not serial killer books and
no, they're not. They're all things that I've either made up or found. Yeah, thankfully. I mean, it's quite. The research is actually quite harrowing. I know we're joking about it, but there's only so much I can read. I get to a point where I think, okay, I get who this person is. I don't need to read about their 18th victim, and you know, so it's quite difficult research at times, I have to say.
So following up a little bit from Melissa's question, and Cheri's too, but when you get to the idea that say this is the murder or this is the mystery, you as the author, how do you decide left, right, or down the middle where you're taking it next? Is there a process that you actually go through and say, I'm going to loop it this way because I'm looking for this outcome? Or, you know, another way because this is DNA and I need it to show up, or what? What makes you decide the path once the murder is committed, which route it goes for the investigation and things like that?
So I always need for the DNA aspect and the genealogy aspect to be realistic. And so that's the guiding principle, really. But I obviously have in my head where the story is going to go and where it needs to be by the end of it. So I need to kind of navigate those two things, and it can be a bit tricky, you know. And some of the the research with DNA can be a bit dry, you know, and you're looking through hundreds of name after name and not finding the links and things. So you have to have a little bit of storyteller's license and cut a few corners, and but going back to what Cheri said, lots of people I hear people say like it's kind of a guide of how to do it, and I've heard people that run DNA courses say read that if you want to understand it. So it's a tricky one to navigate the fact that it's fiction, that's primarily fiction. I'm not actually trying to tell you how to do these things, or but I want them to be realistic and as real as possible. So it's a bit of a fine balance, really.
Right. Well, and you want your reader to be able to understand what's going on, because if it's
got to be realistic, if
the DNA is written so hard that they don't know what is going on, then you're going to lose them right there. So I think you've done a really good job of being able to explain how things are working without the eyes glazing over, and then people who are into DNA are saying, yes, this is cool, and they're getting ideas from it, and especially beginners who are trying to figure out how things go together. That's really helping them. Mary, you've got a question, I can tell.
Well, yeah, I just I was gonna more of a comment. My husband and I went out of town for Thanksgiving And so I was reading it in the car on the way to our cabin. And so he was asking questions about it. But it's like, yeah, I do that. I do that. So it was kind of fun to a way to explain to somebody or get you to explain to somebody what that weird stuff that I'm doing is. So that part was really interesting. The one thing, and I just was curious about diagrams. I mean, there weren't any, you didn't use any kind of diagrams, which is what I would be using. Obviously, if I'm trying to solve this, I'm putting those names in and whatever, so trying to figure out as they were doing. And so I kind of, I don't want to say I lost the point, but I'm just like, okay, well, I'm going to kind of skim through this part because I just have to trust you that you're going to get to the right place. And I'm not going to pay attention to any of the names as a reader. So anyway, it was obviously a choice that you didn't have any kind of name setups, or because I still don't know exactly how the surnames that you came up with put together and fit together. I mean, I know they did. You made them fit together, but
I would piggyback on that. Go ahead, Nathan.
I just write about the way that's the way that I do it personally in Ancestry. Make the trees in there rather than drawing diagrams. But I mean, they do their note taking and drawing things in front of them. But that's where they create their trees in Ancestry.
Okay, and I do create my trees in the Ancestry, but I guess I'm still. All right, maybe because I wasn't creating the trees. Maybe that's what I needed to do, is just make some fake trees as I was reading along.
There you go.
Yeah, I really thought, I would go further than what Cheri said. Because you have both your genealogists that are hardcore and they want to see all the steps and all the stuff. And you have just your mystery readers that don't want to mess with that and want to do that. But you also have different there are detail readers that always want all the details, and you have scanners that want okay, he did a bunch of research, tell me what he found. So I really thought you did a great job of catering to all those people, and especially to genealogists. There's little things, there's people we know, or there's the little
Fisher, people that you put in the
exactly.
It's so fun when you do
this is an insider.
We know those people.
I wouldn't hesitate to recommend it to someone who does not do any kind of DNA for genealogy. They just want to know it. They just want a mystery. So I think you did a good job with that, because I think too much more and it would have been half.
It is really tricky. It's really tricky because like you said, it's just trying to cater for whatever level people are at. And some people do say, I skimmed those bits, and other people say they devoured them, and other people learn from them. And so it is really hard. I don't think there is a perfect solution, because I think I'd be much more criticised if I skipped over all that and said, here are the names, we've done our analysis, we've done our work. And it's kind of the point of the books really as well, is to kind of show how when you've just got DNA, there's no other information about this person. You've just got their DNA, and then how after some, many hours and lots of work, you've actually got down to maybe one name if you're lucky, So it's a difficult one, and I don't think you can please everybody, but
no, and it's the opposite. Like if you watch one of the TV shows like Dr. Gates, and all you hear is, okay, we did some DNA research and this is your person. And you really have the average viewer has no idea of what went into that and what was the probability of being able to get that. So I don't think you can make a hero out of a researcher without showing them research. Doing that research.
Yeah, exactly. All right,
Dan, you're quiet. But you look like you're thinking.
Quiet. No, there's a balance, right, between turning this into genealogy fan fiction and actually telling a story, right? And it's a good reminder too that as genealogists, that's essentially what we're doing, is we're telling a story, regardless of if we're using DNA or other methods, is we're telling a story too. And so it's fun to see that in a story, so anyway, I thought it was great. I was telling everybody last week, I struggled when I started reading it, because I had just gotten done doing some beta reading and critiquing, like, sort of early level stuff with some friends for some other stuff, some of my other writer friends. And so I started reading it with that set of glasses on, and was like, oh, word, nope, I'm not here to talk about word choice, and then just like move on, and so it wasn't at that level. And so when I took off those glasses, then it became thoroughly enjoyable all the way through. So well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to know what's next.
So next is Morton 10. That's the next book that I'll be working on. So that'll probably be after Christmas. I have made a start on it, and I know I've done most of the research now, so I kind of know the direction it's going in. And then after that, I don't know after that, because I'm kind of being harassed by people to do the next Venator book. And the next.
We need answers about Maddie's husband.
Exactly. We need so many answers. What's going to happen with Hudson?
Or you could just tell us now.
After the recording stopped, and we'll be sworn to secrecy.
There's so many.
As it's being recorded.
Right.
There's so many characters and things going on with all of them. That's like, there's so many storylines going on. So that makes it fun to read too. Like I said, it's not just the murder. It's just not them solving and finding out who did it, but you want to know what's going on in the lives with everybody else. And so especially Maddie's husband, where is he?
I was going to be silly then and press mute and then tell you everything, and then I
mute. Somebody who reads lips to come in.
We would be after that lip reader. Yeah,
we can do that. It's recorded. We can.
But I've also got this idea of probably a standalone book, because I went out to Florida in the summer. And I met with the former head of the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. So she was in charge of the entire cold case department, where they were using IGG to solve their cold case of the whole state. I met with her, and she gave me the 2-hour tour of their building and the crime lab, and it was absolutely fascinating. Then got to hang out with the detective from the homicide unit of Orange County. And he took me for a drive round and took me down to the police station and looked at their cold case files. And so I've got an idea for something there that kind of probably may have a connection to Venator, but it's going to probably not be a Venator case. And so I really want to do that as well. But so it's kind of deciding what to do next after Morton, really.
Yeah.
I'll have to see.
It's really funny.
Maybe one day on each book.
Oh, I was gonna say it's funny because we've gone through this with beta reading and stuff like that. There's English way to say things, and there's American way to, and I read it. When I read it and people talk about it, they say Venator, and then you say Venator, and so yeah. So I'm gonna have to remember to say it your way, because you're the author, and I want to say it the way you say it. But it is, we all have different ways that we say different words, and so. It's all the same thing, but
it's amazing when I have you lovely beta readers, and I get all those comments about we wouldn't say that, and they're very subtle things that I think most people wouldn't actually pick up on. Exactly. Everyone knows about like the trunk and the bonnet and the sidewalk and the pavement and all that, but they're very subtle things actually. You think what was the one you kept correcting, Laura? We say is it speaking and talking?
Yeah, so the British speak to you later,
talk to you later. Yeah.
yes. And we don't say when we have a meeting, you would say it's going to be in 2 hours time, and we say in 2 hours. And it's very subtle, but when you're reading it, when you hear somebody saying it, you don't think anything about it. But when you read it, you're reading in whatever language you're hearing in your head.
Yeah. You're correcting it your way.
So you're going, what?
But I think
those things. You do a fabulous job.
I never would have known those things, and I'm very grateful to all my lovely readers.
There was one
go
I
ahead.
was kind of curious about. Well, I know that Cheri's a beta reader,
So Laura.
and
Laura.
and not a big drinker. But there was one, the crate of beer. We don't call it's a case of beer here.
Right. See,
And
I
it's
didn't catch that one. 'Cause-
Cheri wouldn't know because Cheri's probably never bought a case
Oh,
of
I
beer. in her life.
Never.
Either that or I thought that's a Utah thing because
Yeah.
beer is, beer is no, because the state of Utah has very different laws about the sale of
Sure.
alcohol than other
Yes,
states.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So
I missed
Laura
that.
blamed it on Utah.
But it was Idaho.
Or
Oh,
Idaho.
I
I'll
don't know, I
tell
don't
you, just
think I
roll
know.
I
on
just-
into Virginia. We got some good laws around beer.
Okay, I have a question for you, Nathan. I have heard of authors doing fundraisers or contests to allow people to become the next murder victim.
Ooh.
Like hold a big, like a charity raffle, and whoever wins, they actually become the murder victim.
As long as it's not the murderer.
Yeah.
She's about to
Laura,
set
do
you
you
up,
want me to kill
Nathan.
you off, Laura? Is that what it is?
You were at a genealogy conference and Laura and I are rooming together.
And they think Cheri did it. She's
That's
suspect
right.
number
Sherry
one.
did it.
Or
And
we
everybody
could
that
know
knows Laura
Laura
goes,
would do it, but Sherry's
Or
the
you
one
could-
that actually did it.
Or we could be the police detectives, or you know what I mean? But they do.
Yeah.
They're like, you want to be
Genealogists
a
or the
character in my book, and people want to be in their book.
Yeah, I haven't done it for a couple of books, but I did do it for which book was it? And somebody won it, and she was from Texas. It was a Morton book, and so I had to write her in working in Dover Library. And it's like this totally random person,
That's so
who didn't
great.
fit the scene.
Yeah.
So I have done it a couple of times. Yeah, I
That's
can't remember
so
who the other person was I did, but in the Sterling affair, there's a spy out there, and the person who won it, I said, "Do you want it as your name?" And he said, "No, if you can do it in my son's name." And he was, I think he was 6 or something, and so he had to be an adult. But I did make a couple of references, like I said, he looked very young or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have done it, but I didn't do it for the last couple of books.
Of course, you could do it where people could nominate their mother-in-law.
Well, I think it's great that in your acknowledgments that you mentioned GenFriends team. So I think
Thank
that's
you.
awesome. Yes.
Thank you
Yeah,
for that.
Thank you for
Yes.
your support. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we love having you on. I wish we could talk more about the book, but I don't want to give anything away. I've been very careful.
It's hard, isn't it?
so
Yeah.
I
It's
shouldn't
so
hold up the
hard.
last page.
Yeah.
So I
You
just
might watch it,
The
Dan. I might pause
acknowledgements
it
are the
and
last
look.
page, so
Laura's
Please
going to
put
the
that on
last page.
last page.
I don't think there's anything on the last page.
You guys
Hold
are
on.
terrible. You guys are
no,
terrible.
it's my
Well,
last
actually-
page is an ad for a different book.
Oh, there you
I
go.
was gonna
Okay.
say, the acknowledgements
I
might
don't
actually
think
give people
so,
away who
Mom.
played
Maddie
themselves or gave me information. So
Yeah,
it
yeah.
could be spoilers there too.
Yep,
Well,
exactly.
and now that I'm looking at the back of your book, I do have a question now. There's
Okay.
pictures of people.
Yes, yes. I have the same question. Who are they?
Well, yeah, it just dawned on me. I thought, wait a minute, there's pictures of people back here, and there are.
Yeah, they're taken
So
from
how did you-
iStock photos.
Oh,
so
okay,
I'm
okay.
allowed to use them. As far as I know,
I
they're
know,
not,
but I
they're
just-
not dead as far as I'm aware.
I find it interesting that you actually put photos
Yeah.
as a writer because you try to describe your characters in such a way that we can come up with them in our
Yeah.
own minds. And so now I see pictures on the back and I'm like, wait a minute, that's not who she looked like in my mind.
I think that's what's always hard when they make a book into a movie. It's
Mhm.
because you read that book and your characters are set in your head and the way
Yeah.
they act and the way
Yes.
they look, and then they
Yeah,
have some.
I wouldn't put the
actors-
team on there. I would
Yeah.
never put the team up. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are it's just kind of the cold case file. Well, the
Yeah.
hot case file. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of, I told you before, I think this would make your Morton books would make a fabulous series. And then this, as you get more, with the genetic.
Good
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah.
And who are you casting? That's what I want to know.
And
Who are you casting as your?
yeah, who would be Morton?
Well, I've been
Ooh,
asked this
that
several
would-
times, but
I think we've
I used to-
actually asked you that before.
you may have done, yeah. There's a guy who he's called Julian Ovenden, and if you ever saw the Foyles War series, he played
have.
Foyles'
Mhm, I have
son.
actually.
And so I think he would be, but I think he's born in 1976 when I was born, and so actually if it happened now, I think he's too old, so we need to look for somebody younger. So yeah, but yeah, lots of people say good Netflix thing, but they haven't approached me yet.
Right. Well, how can we make Netflix approach you? Is there anything your fans can do? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Contact them.
Yeah, I guess,
Test for them.
Netflix, or even, I know it might sound terrible, but at least it's a series. I mean, Hallmark's got their murder mystery series. I mean, it would work for that, so yeah, there's so many different things that would work for her.
I
So,
think you need to start a campaign, Cheri, really.
okay.
And
GenFriends is starting a campaign.
Yeah.
who does BritBox? It's
Making the awareness out there.
Yeah. Go ahead, Laura, what'd you say?
who does BritBox? It's not just BBC. There's another. It's,
ITV, is it?
It
yeah, I
probably
think
is.
that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be good on that too. So that would be amazing. So I don't know if you need it. I don't know how it works. Do they approach you, or do you send in?
I think they have to be the ones to approach, I think.
Okay.
I haven't
You
tried.
can also approach them.
I think you can too. So that would be amazing. And then we would all want to fly over to London and get guest appearances on the or the genealogist working in the background or something.
The problem is when you sell a concept to script writers,
Yeah.
you lose all that control.
Yeah.
You got
Oh,
all the
totally, I know.
costuming,
Yeah.
characterization,
Yeah.
casting, and all that. So I don't know if he could sell it with a writer that GenFriends had to be. I'm kidding.
Well,
That's it.
Yeah,
wow.
you do. You lose everything. You lose all the creative side, and even the script as well. You can't, you don't usually get a say how it goes. They can completely change it. So
exactly.
that's not to say I wouldn't sell it if the price was right.
Sure.
Do
All
what
right.
you want with it. I don't care.
Is anybody else got a question, or is Dan? I know Dan's got to go, so if you have to get off, thanks for being with us, Dan. We'll see you
You
next
bet.
time.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else got a question, or Nathan, is there something that you wanted us to ask or that you want to say about the book that we didn't ask, or
Good question.
what else would you like to say about the book? Like I said, I would like to talk about the whole thing, but it would give it away. I don't want to do that.
On page 197.
I don't think so. I always get caught out by that kind of question. What else do you want to say? Just that it's available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle. The audiobook has been recorded by the same
Good.
narrator. It's really
Good.
good.
Yeah.
The first one. So it's just going through all the technical nonsense at the moment, and then it'll be out on Audible and all the usual places. And it's also on my website, and yeah.
And we'll put all those links in. Have all those links in.
Marvelous, thank you.
People can find you, and if you haven't read either series, you have got to get out there and start reading the series. As a matter of fact, I just was interviewed by somebody who wanted to become a professional genealogist, and I said, I'll send you some links of things that you need to look at as you study and learn. And I sent her the link to get your books.
Oh, did you?
I did. I said,
It's a very important step when you want to become
I did. I said, if you just want to have some fun, you want to be learning and taking some classes, and then if you want to have some fun, check out Nathan's books. So,
Thank you very much.
You are so welcome. Laura?
Is it on Kindle Unlimited or is it regular Kindle?
I think it's just regular Kindle at the moment, but they come and go, all the books
Yes.
on Kindle Unlimited. So yeah, they sometimes are, sometimes aren't.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think it was regular.
Yeah. But they do go back and forth. Sometimes you can find them.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm looking
Thank you,
right
Nathan. Thank you for taking the time to
Yes.
You're very welcome.
to come and
Always a
talk to
pleasure.
us.
Always a pleasure.
We'd love
Really
having you
fun.
on. And thank you to all the panel for switching up your schedule this week, so we didn't have to have Nathan come talk to us in the middle of the night.
Yeah, thank you very much. It wouldn't have been a good interview, I tell you. After 9
it's
p.m.
really
after,
critical.
exactly, Laura. Yeah, after 9 p.m. when it would have been yawning and just starting to fall asleep.
It's really
we would have started reading pages of the book. That would have woken you up. It was scary. It was scary. It's a great book. Both
Yes.
of the series are
Yes.
wonderful, and I recommend them for
Would
whether
be a
you're
great Christmas gift.
exactly
Yes.
whether you're a genealogist into DNA, it doesn't matter. It's a wonderful read. You will enjoy it. You will have fun with it. You'll never figure it out till the end. and then with the Morton books, they're wonderful too. The both series are so much fun, and that's why we always look at Nathan and say, "What are you doing? Why aren't you writing?"
That's right.
I don't. I'm like, how do you get all that written?
Why are you sitting there, and why aren't you writing? Because we want the next.
Why am I wasting time building things?
Building things, exactly. And
You can hire that out.
you
Yeah.
go skiing, you go out to dinner, you go all these places.
I know.
You're supposed to be in your office.
I just need to sit down at my computer and just get on with all these things I keep talking about rather than
Exactly.
gallivanting.
I think you're incredibly productive.
I do.
Yeah.
I
I think he's organized. You see that clean spot next right?
That's
not
he doesn't have
normal,
anything
Nathan.
in there, so what could get dirty?
Yeah, I was gonna say he just moved in.
Papers, notes,
I want to see a picture of
serial
him.
killer books.
I want to see a picture of him.
Cheri and Laura.
Huh? Say, oh yeah, picture of Sheri and Laura, and remembering
The-
that.
Yes,
The
yeah.
11
of
by
course.
14 version.
No, not that big. Just a little.
I'm going to have it behind me, so it's just always there in everything I do.
So I do have a question on your chickens. You
yes.
brought your chickens to the new place, correct?
Yes, yep.
So is the bird flu still over there? Or are they getting to run? Or do you have happy chickens now?
So I've got 9 chickens, and we've got this rundown house. It's 0.4 acres of land. It's quite a bit, and I would let them out every day, and they would have a good few hours just roaming around and doing whatever. But yeah, we've got bird flu over here, so they have to be locked up. So they've got quite a bit of space. They're not like in a tiny area, but it's not what they're used to. So every time the back door opens, they rush over to the fence and they're wanting to be let out. And they definitely fully understand, really. Well, in fact, they don't understand. They're very silly animals, but yeah, and so they're kind of they're having their revenge though, because the egg production's gone way down now. So instead of getting kind of eight eggs a day, it's down to about 2 now. So they're refusing all the while they're locked up.
They say, "You let me out, or else."
I mean, it could also be cold. It's very cold.
Oh,
Oh, a chicken
well,
protest. You gotta love it.
Chicken
The hens are
protest.
in charge.
well, I hope
You
things.
know what?
Yeah.
Can a chicken ever be a murderer?
Yes, you've just unveiled the plot of Venator 4, the chicken murderer. The chickens
They have to
kill
play a
Laura.
part in something. Hey, they've had dogs that have done witnesses to murders and
Yeah.
stuff. Chickens can do it too.
Yeah, Venator will analyze the DNA and they'll be like, "This is just something very unusual going
Because
on."
they
here."
found a chicken feather by the dead body.
They'll crack the case. Boom, boom.
So funny. Well, thank you everybody for being on. I appreciate it. Nathan, I thank you for being on, and hope to
You're
see you in
welcome. Thank
person
you.
real soon. And congratulations on the book. We are
Thank you very much.
it's
Thanks for having me.
fabulous. It's fabulous. Thank you, everybody. And we will have all these links, and we hope that you go out and buy the book if you haven't read it already. Let us know in the comments how you felt about the book. What did you learn from it? Were you able to figure out some DNA for yourself just by reading the book? Did it scare you? I'm sure you enjoyed reading it. And thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time on GenFriends. Bye, everybody.
Bye.